Hi everybody, it's Rhiannon. It's Tuesday and it's super late. I intended to do this earlier, but kind of got surprised by my husband, who was like, we're gonna go kayaking, and I've never been kayaking. Mostly he went kayaking and I just swam because I don't have a kayak and he has his. But anyway, this week's topic is the topic of air. I am an air element. I am a Gemini. And I really, before I even knew what it was, what the elements were, I had always been very much an air person. To work with the elements of air, you need things that make air. I use a lot of feathers in my practice. Like if you're smudging, I'll use feathers to kind of wave it around the room. Even as a teenager, before I even got into witchcraft or anything along those lines, I had incense, and incense is what I use on my altar to represent air. There are certain colors that I associate with air. Yellow for sure. Anything kind of light in color, like your pastels, are very air to me. Like purple, like a lilac purple. And I tend to use like lilac candles or yellow candles if I want to represent air in a candle form. But when working with air, I feel like, for me especially, if I don't, they always say that you can kind of check how you're feeling by what you're lacking. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but I tend to have a lot more panic attacks if my air element needs a little bit of finessing. If I feel like I'm claustrophobic, the best thing for me to do is go outside, and if there's no breeze, it makes it worse, so there has to be air. A lot of times if I'm stressed out, my husband will take me someplace where there is a lot of breeze, whether that be going just anywhere with the Jeep top down, just to have that element. And I'll talk more about that when we hit the other elements, as to how I balance some of the other elements when I'm feeling some type of way. But the air element is associated too with creativity. So when I'm writing, I tend to try to invoke the air element. I will burn a lot of incense when I write. I will light usually like a lavender candle, a purple lavender scented candle, because there's something about that color and that scent that really helps open up my creative flow. I feel like I really need to, I feel like I really need to start writing these down, because my brain is so scattered. We're getting ready to start school back, and I'm preparing for that, so it's been so busy the last couple of weeks, and it's going to continue to be busy. But I'm trying to remember what my thoughts were for this video, and it really sucks, because I really do a lot when it comes to working with air. But I really think of air as a way to move things around, whether it be your energy. That's, when you're stressed out, they always say take a deep breath, and there's a reason for that. You're inhaling and you're blowing out, you're blowing it away from you. And that does help quite a bit when you're in stressful situations. If you envision you taking everything in, and then you envision blowing it far away from you. That is another way that I use the air element. It's small things when it comes to that. I have to have a fan on. Dead of winter, freezing outside, there has to be a fan on. I cannot have stiff air in my house. It drives me insane. It makes me crazy. It sets off panic attacks. It makes me feel very claustrophobic. There has got to be air, and more so than any other element. I can handle myself with a lack of water when it comes to my emotions, and I don't have to have it every single day. And I don't know if it has everything to do with the fact that I am a Gemini and that air is very, very sacred to me as a Gemini, because I am an air element, or an air sign rather, or what it is. But I can't let that part of my, inner self be blocked at all. Because it does cause a lot of stress if I don't have it. But I think, in working with that sign, I really do work with it a lot when it comes to being creative. No matter what I'm doing, if I just need to think, I do tend to keep lavender in my house for clarity, and it helps me quite a bit. The incense burning, all of that just kind of opens things up, because air is a sign of communication. It's things moving forward, moving around, and kind of progress being made. And I just feel like having that around me all the time really helps things to progress. So I do try to keep the element of air very alive in my house. I have my candles, which fire, and I have plants, and we have, I have, my water altar, and I'll discuss that in later weeks. But it's the air sign that tends to get a little bit more nourishment on my side. My husband's very earth, which it's interesting because he's actually a water sign, but he has to have earth all the time. Despite the fact that he just bought the kayak. But I guess that's a good way to explain for him for later. And like I said, I'll get to that later. But I think you gravitate towards what your star sign is. If you are a fire sign or an earth sign or a water sign, I think that you will gravitate more towards those certain elements. And for sure, I am most comfortable where there is air, whether it be a fan, whether it's up in the air, as long as there is air on my face, as long as I have that element in my home, it helps me think clearer, and it makes my magic better. So if nothing, even if I'm doing a small spell and I'm not invoking the elements and all of that, there's got to be incense burning in that room. There's got to be a fan on in that room. I can't do it without it. I just can't think without it. I feel like this video is very spacey, and I'm very sorry. I'm very tired. I didn't even think I was going to get a chance to get it done, because we literally just got home and I just got showered from being in the river. So I hope to see you guys next week, and I'll share a little bit more on this next week, and I promise that I will take notes and I will read these notes, and they will not feel as jumbled as I'm sure this does. So have a blessed full moon on Thursday, and I will see you guys next week.